Cast, Let It Out. We've been away for, I think it's been like 3 weeks. Been a lot of things going on, and we had to take a little bit of a break. But we're back, and that's the important thing. So first things first, what is Comics Cast? Comics Cast is all about the indie creator. If you're a writer, a penciler, an inker, colorist, publisher, if you're in the indie comic community, Comics Cast wants to get eyes on you. We want you to be on our show, which is this show, which is Let It Out. And that's where we have a little bit more of an intimate conversation. We do some live drawing. We get the 911 on whoever our guest is. You know, we just want to make sure the 911. Is that right? We're just gonna get the lowdown. We're gonna get everything about our guest that's on the show. And our show today. I know it's been a long time since we had our last one, but it's gonna be worth the wait because we have Miss Raven Monroe. And I gotta tell you, she is a breath of sunshine. I have no idea what the best way is. She's a tremendous talent in the indie community, ran a successful IP or a successful Kickstarter for IP Ponshu. She's a teacher, she's a writer, she's a colorist. I can't tell you, I mean, you name it, she's doing it all. And I'm just so pleased to have her. So that being said, we're going to get right to this show to meet Raven Monroe. So here we go. Comics Cast. And it's just me. Let's get her in here. Raven! I was like, where did Raven go? And then I realized, I gotta let her back in. So welcome to Comics Cast Let It Out. You know, this is what happens when you don't do a show for like 3 weeks. You get a little rusty. But that rust, I'm shaking it off right now because I have, like I said, the lovely Raven Monroe. I tell you, well, first, say hello to everybody, Raven.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Yeah, and you know, it's going to be a pleasure to tell yours, to share your story, share some artwork that you've done, and of course, we're going to dispel one of my phobias that I told you about, and when we reveal what those IPs are. But before we get to that, I'm going to put into the comments field a link tree. So here we go. Let me do that, and we'll show this right now. So follow Raven. So she's made it super simple because you want to note this URL. This is where you can find every which way that you want to contact her. You want to commission her, learn more about her. Oh, and I think she's a brand ambassador for Godiva chocolates too. I think we'll talk a little bit about that as well. That's a first. I've never heard of that from a comic, a comic artist, an indie comic artist. So that's in itself is just really cool. So go there, check it out. We will pop it up continuously throughout the show, and of course, leave it up at the very end. We don't want you to go there yet anyway, because we want your eyes right now to be on this show. Yeah, stay right here because we want to learn all about Raven Monroe. So Raven, I've become a super big fan of yours. And I've learned a little bit about you, and of course, we did our little pre-show, and I just love hearing your story. I love your artwork, and it's just going to be a treat to share that with our audience. So that being said, we're going to jump right into the first part of our show, which is called the origin story. So that's where I hand the mic over to our guests, and they talk about their initial creative journey. And while we do that, I'm going to share some artwork that Raven provided to me, and I pulled down from some of her social media. And they're going to be like just a visual backdrop to get people acquainted with who you are or what your art is about while you tell who you are. So that being said, the mic is officially in your hands, and let's hear your origin story. Here we go.
All right. Thank you so much. Hi. I'm Raven. I'm a full-time comic artist. Have been for the past year, very thankfully. But I haven't always been a comic artist. I have a very humble origin story. I'll just wrap up quickly. I grew up in a very teeny tiny town in the middle of nowhere with nothing but computer paper, anime, and a coloring pencil, and taught myself how to draw.
Only the essentials. Of
course.
Yeah.
Of course. The bare necessities.
Uh-huh.
So I started learning how to draw out of a necessity just to have something to look forward to every day. So I started doing art, and I ended up joining the Marine Corps out of high school, and even in the Marine Corps, I couldn't escape it. I was still drawing art. I became one of the artists for the platoon. We were called the Crayons, and it was so
Oh,
goofy. Yeah, so
I did not
goofy.
hear that. I did not know about that. I knew that I heard that your husband was in the armed services. It's
Yeah,
great to hear
he's
that you
Army.
yeah, and you're I guess you said you were in the Marine Corps, so
Yeah, I was a
uh,
Marine. Got
you're a house divided there. So
Yeah, we you know we're united in a couple of things. We have the same
uh,
mindset. But
yeah,
yeah, so I did art while I was in the Marine Corps for a little bit. I started to pursue it more passionately in the Marine Corps. Actually, I got to travel around, meet different people, find different modes of inspiration. Stopped drawing anime so much and just started drawing everything. That kind of just
right.
opened my eyes to the addiction that is creating. Uh, And after the Marine Corps, I moved out to California, and I attended the Art Institute of San Diego before the Great Catastrophe.
Oh,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
uh,
We know what that is. We where
yeah, we'll get to that, maybe.
right.
Um, but while I was in the school, I learned that you can create your own comics. It's entirely possible. You can go it the indie way, and
Yes.
I'd never heard of that before. So I started pursuing creating my own comic. And by the time my school inevitably went kaput, I
Mm-hmm.
was working on my own comic while working a full-time job, and I was very fortunate enough to find a publisher at the time who said, you know what, we'll take you on. And things didn't work out with that publisher, but now I was approached by an even better publisher who has
Mm-hmm.
just skyrocketed all of my IPs and projects and led me to where I am today. So from computer paper to Cintiqs, here we are.
Oh wait, you have a Cintiq? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like so jealous. Oh my gosh,
Uh,
but but you know what? It's not. You know, we're gonna talk a little bit about this. It's not even really the Cintiqs are great, but it's
oh,
in the end it's a tool. It's just another tool.
exactly.
It's a really nice tool, but it's
It's a
the
nice looking
creativity.
tool.
Yeah, and it's the creativity that you pour into it that
Mhm.
makes the difference. And this is what I want to say. I just want to you talked about the Art Institute, and we were talking about your story, your origin story before you talked to
Mhm.
share your origin story, and it was sort of like the Art Institute closed, and
Mhm.
you didn't even get a chance to finish your degree. How uncool is that? But
Uh,
I'm going to tell you though, this is proof. Proof is in the pudding here. You are testament that you don't necessarily have to go to a huge art school. You don't have to go get a formal art degree to be
mhm.
successful. It's nice. I'm not going to take away from it. I got a
Absolutely.
BA in a BA in graphic design, a
Mhm.
BFA in some multimedia design. But I've learned that it
Mhm.
does. It's if you got the passion and you have a talent and you have the dedication, you can excel. And hearing your story, which we're going to share here, you're living proof. And we're looking at this art, and it's incredible. You I think the times have definitely changed. If you can get on social media, and I'm going to say you're one of the bright spots in social media.
Oh,
Use its power for good, and network, learn. I think you had talked about how you're self-taught, learn from YouTube, learn from
yeah.
friends. You connected. You have your peers, and of course that you met at the Art Institute. So
Yeah.
I love hearing that story. So that just means that sky's the limit. You just need to
Mhm.
have the itch, the creative itch, to pursue it. And I
Right.
just love it. And we're looking at this artwork here, and I'm just flashing through it real quickly because there's just so much of it. And obviously here, you talked about you grew up in a rural community, and
Mhm.
you just like me. We have similar origin stories, but I just
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have the numbers that we're going to share in
Oh,
terms of like that art book and the creative following. But it's sort of like out of necessity, you find what's around you
right.
to occupy yourself. And when you
Mhm.
do, it's like you found art. And
Mhm.
you didn't have to have something fancy, just paper and pencil and your
Mhm.
imagination. And I love. I'm also a big anime manga nut,
Hey.
and I was listening to that as well. So obviously, there's a lot of manga anime influence in here, and I'm just going through this real quickly. And it's like you hit like all types of anime manga like genres. Everything from the chibi look to a more adult looking anime to and it bottom line, it's all fun. That's what I like about it.
That's exactly what it is. There's so many different styles to try out with art. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
people who are foodies. They're like, oh, I want to try all the different flavors in the world. Okay, with artists, it's like we want to try every style. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's so fun and expressive. So it's addicting. It's the best.
I think that's great because you talked about you know this obviously influenced you and you made a story about how you and your brothers who are also creatives
Yeah.
you would get together and what was it you would hop up on caffeine and snack foods and just binge out on watching Adult Swim or I don't know exactly what and I gotta say
Yeah.
I like hearing that story because I can see that I have years on you. So to me, it was like Saturday morning cartoons or after school, of course, but they were a totally different type. And I didn't have the benefit of the Eastern connection.
Oh
But
shoot.
it's so neat to see this because looking at your artwork, it's so vibrant, it's so colorful. You hit like all sorts of different genres within the genre of anime and manga. Do you have a favorite? Is there one that you love? Like
Like a favorite style of art or a favorite
yes,
genre of anime?
yes. Well,
I
both.
think
Yeah.
I think we could hit both at once. Actually,
Okay.
there's
Yes.
an anime called K-On! That
Yeah.
I absolutely love. It's a slice of life story about a group of girls who are in an after school club and they make music together and they have such a deep and beautiful friendship that's built beautifully throughout the series. So the storytelling's amazing. The animation is very fluffy. I don't really know how
Uh-huh.
to describe it other than it's fluffy. Um, and
Uh,
it's so beautiful and soft and it's fun to look at, it's fun to watch. You watch it and you're like, oh, these are characters that I want to be friends with, these are characters that I could be friends with, this is real to me, this is something that could happen. And it was just such a good watch for myself growing up, and I've watched it many times. I have figures on my desk over here.
uh-huh.
Like,
I
I
just
loved
wrote
it.
that. I just wrote that the title because I think I need that in my life. I need to be able
It's
to draw that same inspiration from it. And it's
it's
good
great.
to just to see that. And I'm going through your artwork here. You definitely have a nice vibrant color palette,
Thank
and
you.
that's one thing that I'm going to say is that I look at your art and it just oozes positivity.
Oh, thank you
It
so
has such a colorful palette. Of course, then as soon as I click, I get to this kind of like this darker
Yeah,
palette right here.
that was like early 2019. That's an old one.
Well, that's okay. This was like foreshadowing for like the coming COVID here, but
Oh my
that
gosh, actually,
uh,
yeah, wow.
yeah, and but it just goes to say you're very you're able to adapt. You're not tied down to any particular look. You're experimenting, and this is all digital. Of course, we talked about you using a Cintiq, and I'm just so you know overwhelmed in terms of just there's just so many influences or like I said, subgenres within the genre of anime and
Mhm.
manga. And I look at it and I can see some influences, but they're all like again uniquely Raven. They have your style, and it's just really really amazing to see. I feel like I'm talking to celebrity here. It's like I've seen. I've seen all this stuff here, and it definitely it resonates with me, and I can see why it resonates with so many people. So
Oh, thank you.
that being said, let's talk a little bit about your IPs.
For sure.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to go into your first one, which you told me a little about, but I'm going to let you just give us a 1,000-foot overview because I think
Okay.
you'll be able to dig deeper into it, and we'll dive later into it a little bit more in depth. But here we have Machi and the Lazy Witch.
Machi, man. It's
So
where
tell
it
us
all
about that.
began. Yeah,
Mhm.
I appreciate you. So Machi is where it all started for me. When I was attending the Art Institute, I noticed that there were these cliques that were appearing in the school. So like audio students were very different than the 3D animation students, who were very different from the sound engineers. Like it was so many different personality groups being formed based off of your interests, and I'd never seen that before, and I
Mhm.
thought it was so fascinating. And also growing up with things like Harry Potter, it's so fun to add fantasy into the mundane. So I wanted to create a series about a young witch who deals with the struggle of mental health, staying positive in a
Oh,
very fast paced work environment, right?
hmm.
Not letting her super successful friends detour her from doing her personal best. Um, so I decided to write a story about a young witch who goes to an art college. So they do things like animate golems and create wands out of crystals to amplify their powers, things like that. So I did some world building when I was in college for Machi, and it's the first comic that I ever sat down and completed. And it's funny enough, when I did Machi the first time, because I've been researching Kickstarters and crowdfunding and whatnot, because if anything, I am a person who is scared. Right? I'm a
No
big
way.
scaredy cat.
You're
No, yeah,
scared? No
I'm
way.
a
No way.
big scaredy cat. So I wanted to be set up for success as much as I possibly could. So I started researching like a madman on Kickstarter and how to be successful. And I had heard that the first time you crowdfund a book, the first book's successful, but by the time the first book's done and you're ready for book two, the audience has already come for book one. They're not going to come for book two. You've already tapped your audience once. They're not going to come again unless the story is exceptional. And this was my first comic. And I said, I'm trying my best to make it exceptional, but I don't want to get ahead of myself and say it absolutely is. So I released issue 1 and issue 2 at the same time. Like a crazy.
Oh, you didn't want to like take a risk. It's like, I don't want to just
do
issue 1. I want to give issue 2 so I can get past that sophomore slump and like I'm gonna put issue 1 and 2 in there. And I'm gonna say it's like, you say that you're scared, but I'm listening to your story and it's like, face your fear. It's like jump in head first, and that is just a great story. It's like you're not gonna let those things hold you back. And I was zooming in here. So Machi is you said she's the ginger with the freckles? Yes.
Machi.
Yeah, and I like, so you talked about why witches, and I like the whole Harry Potter connection, and I like what was surprising to me is you talked about the whole thing with dealing also with mental illnesses, or that is like another aspect of it that I did not expect. I thought it'd all be like rainbows and unicorns, but you're also finding a nice way of showing how your characters deal with this potential trauma and how they can have it. And was that something that you want to do right at the onset? Like, this is going to be the core of my story that I'm gonna do? It
is. It didn't start off being a witch school at all. It just started off being a story about a girl who was struggling to compete in an art field, and that in and of itself, you hear those stories all the time, and they're both fascinating, inspiring, and discouraging. They're whirlwinds of storytelling, and it was something I was personally experiencing at the time. And I said, hey, this is something I have some background on. Maybe this is something that I can give to someone in a bright, happy format. So maybe they can take notes from it in a way that doesn't feel as discouraging. I wanted to provide hope through witches and goofiness.
Well, that's the best kind, because I think if you can frame those difficult subjects against the backdrop of something that's you're passionate about, which is in this case, anime and comics, that allows you to really connect with your audience, and I think it's the best way. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little later on when we get to hint the live drawing when we do Machi a little later on. But
a live drawing,
I think we're going to be doing something like that, because that's what we do. But I want to talk a little bit more about some of your other IPs, and the other IP that's crazy vibrant here. Look at this. This is Cookies and Scream. Tell us about it. There's a cast of characters here.
Yeah, Cookies and Scream came about during quarantine. I wasn't able to work on Machi for a period of time, so I had to find something else to do with my hands. I'm not the type of person who can sit still. I'm a workaholic, and I'm a creative. And when you leave someone like that alone in quarantine, they do things. So
I need to be around you. I need to have that. I need to. If I have to catch some COVID, I want to catch the infectious arts enthusiasm of Raven. But tell us about this. This is born out of that itch that you had to scratch during COVID lockdown.
Exactly. Yeah, I had to do something. I was sitting idly by, was driving me insane. I was still working a full-time job. I was not a full-time comic artist at this point. Still working a full-time job, doing commissions, trying to work on my own personal things, and also trying to start up a new project. So I realized pretty quickly that there was no way I was going to be able to draw this comic and do all the background penciling on my own, and still get it out in time for Halloween, which is when I really wanted to have it ready. So I found this artist on Twitter, and I love Twitter because sometimes you can find just the most amazing people. You gotta look sometimes. Twitter can be a little scary, but you can you can find some really great talent in the comic community on Twitter. So I was going through and I saw this artist who had just this amazing Disney character design style, so fun and wacky and crazy. And this, I saw they drew a picture of a monster, like a character sheet that they had done for a commission. And I've been following them for a while because we're part of the same fandoms. They did fan art of characters I liked, so I saw their monster designs, and I said, "Oh my gosh, that I love that. Can we work together?"
So I'm going to add this to your list of just talents and many hats. You're like a talent recruiter here. You found somebody here to help you realize your dream. I mean, Cookies and Scream, right? So is that
Yeah, man, I was so lucky. One of the things I gotta say is if you're a workaholic and looking at art is your hobby, this is a good profession to be in.
I have to tell you, I got folders and folders and folders of just artists that
Yes.
I draw inspiration from, but you're taking it a step further. It's like you have that folder and you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to reach out to that person and I'm going to see if I can work with them. So Cookies and Scream, it's are you like the art director for this or what exactly?
For sure. So sorry. So I wrote the script. I did the inking for the backgrounds and any edits, like as far as the character needs to be moved over just a little bit more. I did the lettering, and I did the background colors, but the character inks were done by Gilly, an amazing artist over on Twitter. We're actually going to be picking up issue 2 for Cookies and Scream within the next month or so. We're going to start production on that. And then I had Lauren Radiker on the background pencils. And Lauren was recommended to me by a friend of mine who we were both artists on the same project a while back. And we just kept in touch. And I said, hey, do you know anyone or are you available? And they said, oh, I'm not available, but I have a friend. And I said, great, give me your friend's info. Let's talk. So I reached out to her and her work. It was great working with Lauren because I said, hey, here's the art style I would like. Can you do this? And she said, let me get you a sample within 24 hours. Let me get you a sample. And she did. Wow. And it was beautiful. And I said, I'm out of my mind. Let's go. Let's do this. It was great.
Love that the story because, you said, you're in lockdown, everybody's kind of like hunkered down. You still want to be creative and you're actually being creative with other talent. You're like Nick Fury. You're assembling your own Avengers team and the Avengers form Cookies and Scream. And I count like 9 characters here. So
yeah, there's a whole lot of characters. The story, just a quick 1,000-foot view you'd said before. That's such a cool sentence. I love that. Story is about a little sugar scout named Audie Audley, who's in the center with the big poofy hair, and her best pal in the whole wide world, Gus, who is on the pile of cookies just behind her head. He's this big lizard in a Halloween sweater.
Yes.
So Audie and Gus, they're a part of a sugar scout group, like Girl Scouts, and they're tasked with selling a whole wagon of cookies before the end of the day. They had a team. The team bailed on them because they were bullies. So Audie and Gus have to sell this cart of cookies. So they go to the first creepy house they find. Gus sees a bug and runs after it like a goofball. And Audie chases after him. And when she gets through the house, she realizes that it is a teleportation point, and they are now on the spooky side of town.
Okay, that is a great 1,000-foot overview because now I am hooked. I want to see about this teleportation house, and of course, I take it this cast of characters and monsters. They're like on the other side.
Yep.
I think that if that isn't enough to whet your appetites, audience, to like want to like read about Cookies and Scream, I don't know what is. I mean, it's just amazing. And your core character here, she looks like she could be in the shared universe with Machi. She looks like she could. Does she? I don't know.
She wears the witch hat, and it's funny because in issue 1 of Cookies and Scream, Audie is actually at a comic book store buying comics instead of at her Girl Scout meetings. She's ditching her meeting to buy comics, which
okay.
So she's buying comics, and one of the comics she's buying is Machi issue 1.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a Deadpool, like breaking the fourth wall type
Just a
thing
little
in
bit.
terms just a little bit. But I would like to see like a cross. I don't know. There should be some cross pollination between Cookies and Scream and Machi. And I think that we talked a little bit about that, and I think maybe the unifying element that will bring all these titles together. Maybe we'll see a cameo of this particular IP of Ravens in maybe he'll make or I don't know if it's he or she, but
You got it.
it's a he. Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
be if this particular character will bridge that gap and be able to be in both of your other IPs, and that character is. Here we got Ponshu. Okay.
Little guy.
All right. So Ponshu. Okay. So we're gonna continue with that 1,000-foot overview. I'm gonna let you give just a brief synopsis of
For sure.
what is Ponshu. Yeah, go for it.
Ponshu, Ponshu at the moment is a webtoon that's available to read for free on webtoon.com. It's under My Pal Ponshu. It follows the adventures of this tiny clown named Ponshu as he explores our big, beautiful world. So he gets to see all sorts of things, from crazy candy stores to beautiful sunrises to art museums with moving paintings. He's exploring our world when we can't. So he's another set of eyes for us.
And this is what I love about this, because Raven, you have such. I think this is a great example of just your eye on environment, just creating these environments that your character Ponshu lives in, breathes in, and you could definitely do. Here we go. We have like these zoom in shots, of course, but I think when I look at this, it has such a sense of scale and grandeur, and when you look at this. You have this little tiny character, and you know what he's he's diminutive. He's a little tiny character, but it magnifies the scope and the wonder and the awe. And you've captured, like you're talking about sunsets, everything from sunsets to this, which almost looks like looks like he's walking on water. I think, and the reflective things. And I'm not going to say maybe if that's if there's any religious connotations here, but it just has you look at this, and the contrast between Ponshu and his environment is amazing, and you can't help but feel some positive vibe when you look at this. And then you get into these things where you zoom in a little bit more, and it reminds me of Toy Story. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you watched that Toy Story short, Partysaurus Rex. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Oh, I don't think I have. I'll have to watch it.
Check that out. It's the T-Rex from Toy Story,
and
he gets banished to the world of the bathroom toys, and I'll leave it at that. And it's called Partysaurus Rex. But I looked at this, and Ponshu he's chilling. He's enjoying.
Vibing.
Who doesn't enjoy a nice bath? But your mastery of color is just. I don't know what it is. I think. Did you take classes on color theory, or is this completely inherent?
It's so funny. When I attended the Art Institute, the majority of my classes were based off of 3D modeling. So all of my color theory, I think I can only really attribute to my love for looking at art. I just keep working on my colors and my values and saturations until I think it's something I would like to look at personally. So it's a self-taught thing, I guess.
Oh, well, that's amazing, because I was going to say is, a little bit of Raven Monroe statistics here. When I heard about you initially, you had 13,000 TikTok impressions or followers, and I talked to you today, and that's up to 28.6 thousand now.
It's so crazy. Like I'm Lord. Like I'm honestly like so beyond honored because it's a clown. A lot of people, they don't like clowns. The media has corrupted what clowns are supposed to be, which are wholesome little guys. They're supposed to bring you joy. But the media is like, no, we're gonna make it scary. And it's like, but so many people gave him a chance, So that number is all the people gave him a chance.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to tell you, if people don't, who watch the show, who know me through past episodes of Comics Cast, my friends and my family, they all know I have a a huge phobia of clowns. And I think you're like you said,
No.
I think the media definitely. You're
Media
so right because
gotcha.
yeah, because what happened is I watched. I'm going to show my age here. I watched this horror flick. Well, it was more
Mhm.
of a kind of a a drama type thriller, and it was
Yeah.
Poltergeist. It was I don't know if you've heard about Poltergeist. It was a movie that
Mhm.
came out in the '80s, and there was a scene with a toy clown, and it gets possessed, and
Oh.
there's the kid like looks under his bed thinking because he looks on the shelf and the clown's missing, so he thinks, oh, he's under the bed, and he looks under the bed. It's not under the bed, but when he like raises up,
Oh.
it's that scene like like when you go into the bathroom and you think when you look in the mirror and you think someone's gonna be behind you. That's what happened to him. He like raises up from looking under the bed and the clown is behind him, and it's just like
No.
it traumatized me till now. But I'm gonna tell you, I look at Ponshu here, and I'm gonna say if anything will help me overcome my clown phobia, it's Ponshu.
That means a
Adorable.
lot. That really
I,
means
I
a
think
lot.
I think you're gonna be healing this deep rooted trauma inside because he's adorable. And I like how here we have like a compact here. I think this is a really neat thing. It almost makes me. We were talking about color theory. It's like
Mhm.
this. I was like, going maybe this is like Raven's way of like using a makeup compact, to kind of like sort of like show this is color theory. This is how I
That
work
would be
through it.
so fun. I put these
I can see
little.
This
Mhm.
is keep on going, keep
Go
on
ahead.
going.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
keep
so
on going.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
My thing cut out for a second.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I put the colors together after I completed the piece, and in doing that,
Ah,
I got to see what colors I had used the most of, and I thought it was kind of funny because I was like, oh, I didn't think I'd use that much of this brown color. Like, there's no way, but
uh-huh.
I did.
I have to tell you, this is like screaming merchandising. I'm gonna have to say
Oh,
that when we're gonna talk about what you did with Ponshu in terms of not only was it a great art book for Ponshu, but you also did uh, plushies. And
my boy.
I'm gonna say is like you got your it's like girl, I think you have your hands on on marketing. You went to school for 3D animation and you're doing writing, illustration. You're a colorist. You're a teacher. And now you're going to be doing, marketing here. You've done such a great job marketing yourself, and you have this
Thank you so
plushie,
much.
and I think that it'd be kind of neat. Who knows? You could have a line of like these compacts, which have like these color palettes in it, and
That would
you could
be
have.
amazing.
I think this is. I think you're a one woman mission to make sure that clowns get a better name in
It's my
in
life
this
goal.
in this decade in this century. But yeah,
Mhm.
so you plushies like
Yeah.
I have to say that the character does lend itself really well to it. What was the reasoning for was that the reason? It's like, hey, he translate really well to a stuffed animal.
It's so funny. So I on TikTok I started posting these little animations that I would do with Ponshu because I originally when I went to college I was trying to get an animation degree.
Mm,
Why they put me in a whole bunch of 3D modeling classes I'll never know. But anywho, so I was trying to do animation. So on TikTok I started doing a bunch of animations of Ponshu because he's a simple character, pretty simple design. Getting into moves not that hard. Um,
right.
so I started doing these animations, and immediately my comment section was just flooded with plushie, plushie, plushie. When is the plushie gonna drop? When are we gonna get a plushie? When's the plushie coming along? And I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
know. I'll figure it out though.
So I guess it was more of the audience kind of like drove this, and then it's like I said,
Yeah.
it's like Raven being the branding marketeering genius that she is. She goes, "Hey, I'm going to strike while the iron's hot." Apparently, there's people that are interested in this,
Mhm.
and you did it. You made it happen.
I said, listen, someone's saying they want it. I'm gonna at least get that one person what they want. If it
uh-huh.
flops, that's okay, but I'm at least gonna try. You know.
Yeah, I could see this. This would be and everybody's stocking by next Christmas. I think Ponshu translates really well. And I
Oh,
said
that'd
that
be
because
so
this is gonna
cute. Oh,
this is
wholesome
gonna be
photos.
you're right. I think it's one of those things that this is a part of your mission to
Mhm.
give clowns a better name. So
Yeah.
I just really enjoy this, and I think this
Mhm.
is be a great we're getting to this part of the show where we're going to go into our live drawings. We've heard a little bit about Ponshu,
Let's get it.
and I think this is going to be our chance to see the magic happen. Um,
Let's do it.
uh, and then while we're doing that, I'm going to ask Raven to like maybe just give a little bit of insight because I could tell you I heard the story about Ponshu's creation, the
Mhm.
genesis, where he came from, and it's inspirational. It's one of those type of things where I think that our audience will really get a treat in terms of like where you've heard the story in terms of you're given lemons. What do? You make lemonade, and I think Ponshu is a great example of that. Some of the best ideas are born out of adversity, and it's nice to hear that story. So we're gonna go into this live drawing thing. So that being said, I want everybody to take a look at this. Let me actually find because this is the plushie, which is adorable.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go to show some of the things like here too. So this is Ponshu. If you're gonna draw along with us, if you don't know the drill, take a screen capture. We want our audience to draw along. Take a screen capture of this. Get a note. Get familiar with the look of this particular IP, and have at it. Do your own interpretation. You can definitely do it the way that Raven has it here, but I think today's episode is not only dedicated to talking about Raven, but it's also to bring justice to clowns, to make sure. Yes. So if you want a nice positive version of a clown in your life, do that. Mm-hmm. But this is Ponshu. I'm going to show another one. This is Ponshu in outer space. Again, look at this color palette. I mean, it just blows my mind. This is like not what you would expect. Well, I guess if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, this is like how Guardians of the Galaxy shows space. It's not blackness with just lots of like little specks of light. It's this really colorful palette. So this is Ponshu. I'm going to show one more. It's this one right here. We use this in the banner art that we featured to promote Raven for today's show. So here we have it here. Do screen capture of this. Have it as reference. And we would love to have our audience draw along with us. But what we're going to do is we're going to focus on Raven's camp. We're going to call that up pretty soon. And I'm going to start the clock right now. So 15 minutes to start out with. And while you're going to have we'll do a little bit of multitasking here, Raven. I want you to just talk a little bit about Ponshu's beginnings. And we're going to start drawing. All right, here we go.
Good. Let's do it. Okay, here we are. So Ponshu, oh man, he came about in January. Ponshu is a pretty new IP. He's just a baby at this point. He came about in January. So let me backtrack a bit here. I'm gonna doodle a story for you guys.
Oh, even better. Keep on going.
Here we go. I'm gonna draw you my best friend. His name is Max. And he is a Shiba Inu. He's a grumpy old man, but we love him. He's a very rotund boy. So Max, right? He's my best friend. I raised him since he was a puppy. And mind you, I grew up like in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have much. If you had a pet, they didn't live past a certain number of years because we lived in the middle of nowhere, and there were all sorts of dangers. So I've had Max since he was a puppy, and he's the one animal that as an adult I've been able to really take care of and really give him the best life I possibly could, which is why he eats chicken nuggets more than he should. He is nothing if not completely adored. So Max, he's my best buddy, raised him since he was a puppy, and back in December I noticed he got like a little bump on his head, like right here in this area.
Oh no.
And it was so strange because I was like, my guy, what you doing getting little bumps for? That's kind of not cool. And he's just, I don't know, am I getting chicken nuggets today? I'll tell you that. So I'm like, oh no, okay, well let's take you to the vet and see what's going on. Funny enough, our vet, he also has a Shiba. So I'm gonna do a little doodle of my vet. So he also has a Shiba, and our vet, he's so funny. He's like, oh yeah, your dog looks just like mine, except mine's not fat. He every time he fat shames my boy, and I'm like, please, he can hear you, sir. He can hear you.
That just shows that he has more to love. That's what I'm gonna say.
That's what I'm saying.
More to love.
I'm like, he's a rotund boy, but he is adored. So anywho. So we take him to the vet, and the vet looks at the bump on his head, and the vet was like, all right, I'm going to give it to you straight. You have a perfect 50-50 chance that this could be cancer.
What kind of...
I'm not. Like, it was literally, it was like a joke. He was like, yeah, so we look for three things. We look for We look for if it's rooted in place, how fast it's growing, and if it's hard or soft. And Max's bump was hard, which was bad. That's a cancer indicator.
Oh.
It
Oh, no.
was rooted in place. Or it was almost rooted in place. It was in between. He couldn't quite tell if it was rooted or not rooted. So that was like, we were unsure. But, and it grew fast, which is a cancer indicator. So we're like, yo. So we looked at all three of those things, and it was a perfect 50-50. And I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted because literally his bump had grown from November to December. It just sprouted out of nowhere. So it was very quick growing. So we're like, that's not okay. So, and Max, of course, he has no idea why he's at the vet. And the worst part is I took him there, and my poor boy, we go in for a checkup, and the vet's like, we're going to go ahead and perform surgery. And take it out and run tests on it. So he went in for a checkup, and he already doesn't like the vet. Yeah, he's already not happy.
Because he's a grumpy old dog, right?
He's not a grumpy old man. All he wants to do is nap and eat chicken nuggets. And that's,
eat chicken nuggets.
It's relatable, you know? So,
yeah.
So he had surgery that same day, and he didn't know why, and I didn't get a chance to prepare him or anything. It's not like he understands English. So I'm sitting out in my car waiting for them to finish the surgery, and they're like, okay, we'll get back to you in about 2 weeks, 2 weeks of business days. And I was gutted. Yeah, I was like, it's gonna take that long? Like, what do I do in that time? What do I do with myself? And what ended up happening was Max and I watched a whole bunch of movies and cried a lot. So,
oh my gosh!
So
we probably went through a lot, pints of Ben and Jerry's too, right?
Oh my gosh, all of it. And the worst part about it, McDonald's had a sale on chicken nuggets during that time.
Oh, okay, comfort food.
Not even kidding you. 2 for 20 pieces for like $6 or something. I said my boy's getting the world. Yeah,
he better. Right. Well,
and the whole time Max has no idea. So anywho, so we spend the next week or so. We got the results kind of early, but we spent like the next week like in a total despair because I live by myself here, and I don't have family nearby, so I just have Max. So I was absolutely terrified and gutted and scared. And I'm on the phone with my brother one night, who's up in New York. He's an animator, my little brother. So we're on the phone. And I get a call from the vet, 7 at night. I get a call from the vet. They must have been closing, and he just called me last minute or something. I don't know. It was the strangest thing. But anywho, so he calls me, and I answer the phone, and I'm shaking. I'm answering the phone immediately. I'm shaking. I've been crying for weeks. So
it's caller ID. You knew it was the vet.
Yeah. I got caller ID from the Mission Gorge Animal Hospital. Google does that thing on the phone. So I was like, okay, here we go. I answer the phone. I'm shaking, and I'm like, hi. And he's like, Raven, it's Dr. Lee. I was like, I know who this is. What are the results? Hi, Dr.
Give it to me,
Lee.
Doctor. Yeah. Just tell me how it is.
It's
been 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was like a in my mind it felt like a forever pause. In reality, he probably didn't even pause at all. But he was like, good news. It's not cancer. It was a malignant bump. And I said, thank you so much. Goodbye. And I hung up and I cried. I cried and I called Max over and I said, you're good.
and chicken nuggets for you again.
McDonald's sponsor him.
DoorDash could not get there sooner than
no
enough,
lie,
right?
Loading up the car, getting McDonald's immediately. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best news. And the rush of just sheer joy from that moment, it was so overwhelming. Like, it was so incredibly overwhelming. It was like being hit with a tidal wave of fresh air when you've literally been choking the past week.
For 2 weeks, right? For 2 weeks.
It was like a week and a half or something. They told me it was going to be 2 weeks, but it wasn't the full 2 weeks.
Right.
They had mercy, which is why getting the call early was kind of scary because I was like, oh, if it's bad, he's going to call me early. That's what I thought, but I was wrong. Yay! So it was scary. So we got the results in, and I was so overwhelmed with joy and happiness. I've been trying to draw and work the past week. You know, I'm a full-time artist now. I have to draw, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure maybe you can relate. Like as a creator, if you are in a bad headspace, it's almost
Right.
impossible to get anything
Yeah.
done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been facing. So I hadn't been able to draw much of anything besides what I was, forced to do for commissions. And so I sat down with my brother, and I was on the phone with him. I picked the phone back up and I said, "Dude, such great news! You know, Max is good." And my brother was like, "Hell yeah!" So we're partying it up, and and at that moment I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna draw something for myself. I'm gonna draw something for myself for the first time, because I had been doing commissions for like 2 years
Yeah.
straight at that point, and it gets exhausting, not being able to draw for yourself. So I've forgotten how, almost. So I was like, the one thing I would love to draw more than anything on earth, I would like to just draw like a cute little clown. I just want to do that. And I did not plan to share it with anyone,
Uh-huh.
because I was like, people don't like clowns. Why I'm not going to make a post. Yeah, I was like, I'm not worried if this looks good or not. I'm just going to draw for me.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to scare anybody. So I was like, I'm just going to draw a cute little clown for myself. Um, and I ended up drawing him not once, but like 4 or 5 times that night. I couldn't stop. Like the
Mm-hmm.
second I started, I physically just couldn't stop drawing Ponshu. And the name came like right up, like as soon as I sketched him, I was like, this kind of looks like a Ponshu to me. That's what I'm gonna call him.
Okay.
It's the
He
weirdest
he
name you
looks
could
like a
just.
Ponshu. Yeah.
It looks like he looks like a Ponshu, right? So I
He
was like, oh,
does.
this
He
is.
does. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you,
Yeah,
right? So I'm like,
yeah,
all right,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, this is perfect. I'm just gonna call him Ponshu. Um,
Uh-huh.
and uh, and I kept drawing him. And the fun thing is whenever you're drawing for yourself, you don't feel, the restraints of it needs to look perfect. So I started taking time to watch more videos again, and watch more
Uh-huh.
videos on color theory, and really tap into like, oh, hue and saturation, right? That's a thing. Oh, that's why this
Mm-hmm.
looks nice, right? Trying to find out what I could do to improve my art, because I'd never been confident with background art before. Um,
What? You do
I
such great backgrounds, but keep on
Thank
going.
you,
Keep on going.
but it's only because of Ponshu. That's why I started researching, like how to draw backgrounds and whatnot, and
Uh-huh.
and composition. I think I've used the golden ratio enough times to create just an art book of Ponshu with golden ratio. Like
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
it's a,
great. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, it's a useful tool, that's for sure.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so I kept drawing him. I started challenging myself when I was drawing him to like really push my colors, push my composition, and make sure that, as much as I could change or learn in each piece I was doing. So almost every Ponshu piece I did in the beginning was kind of like a test to see, like, okay, can I draw a field of flowers?
Ah.
Can I draw sunrise versus sunset, and have it very clearly show that there's a difference between the two? Like, can
Mm-hmm.
I do that? So it's a challenge. And I had so much fun in the process. Like, I was learning art all over again, with little Ponshu. And I made the decision at some point to share a couple of Ponshu pieces, and I told myself, listen, if this is the end of my career, if I lose all of my followers over this, then so
Whatever.
be it. Exactly. I was like, you know what? So be
I
it.
don't
I had
care. Yeah.
fun. Exactly. I was like, listen, I like this little guy. Maybe someone will like him too. And the
Mm-hmm.
response, it was, ah, it
Through the
was,
roof. That's what it was when
no,
I heard those
exactly.
numbers. I mean, 13. I think it was like this was like I guess a couple of months ago, 13K on TikTok, and now it's you said 28.6 thousand. I
Yeah,
mean,
20.
that's amazing. That is such an amazing thing.
It's bonkers. It's like you mentioned before, a lot of people are scared of clowns. So the fact that so many people took the time to look at him and not say ew, like, meant a lot to
Uh,
me. I was like, oh, you're giving him a chance.
well, you know what? I have to say when I looked at it, and maybe some people have phobias of mimes. I don't know, but when I look
Yeah.
at he kind of like he doesn't look threatening. He looks comforting. I think
Thank
it's
you.
I think there's something about his the volumes of his the big sleeves and and the tiny hands and the tiny feet. It's kind of like I think that when I look at it, it's like Tim Burton style, but not as like as because Tim Burton style kind of has it. It's creepy, but it's comforting at the same time. And I just look at yours, and it
Yeah.
just looks comforting.
Oh, I love that. That is highest of praise, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I think that that's it. He's rooted, like his creation is rooted in that comfort. You talked about when you went through this really traumatic experience, waiting to see if Max had cancer, and all that stress that was pent up for like a week and a half, it translated to something really positive, and that's Ponshu. I think that's a great story.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I'm so grateful that people gave him a chance. And it's almost like in going out and trying to make Ponshu, trying to make something that was for myself originally and sharing it with people, I was kind of reaffirming my own belief in myself. Like I said, I'm a coward. I'm a scared person.
You are the furthest from that. You are
the furthest. So I'm very tentative to try new things like that. And this was such a big and pivotal moment in my career and in my life as an artist. Taking the leap to say, you know what, I'm gonna try pursuing my skill even further. And then I'm going to create as much happiness as I can. I wanted each piece that I did to evoke emotion in some way without telling the reader, right? Without telling the viewer, like, you should feel this way, right?
Your art is supposed to do that. The picture is supposed to evoke that emotion, right? It's
exactly.
not because then otherwise you'd be writing books, right? You'd be like writing prose.
Exactly.
And you're using a picture to tell a story. And oh shoot, I just realized it's the time expired, but I want to hear a little bit more of the story. So let's.
I'm so sorry. I'm such a blabber.
No. This is me trying to get more time. But I want to hear the rest of the story too. So let's add. Let me go ahead and stop this.
For sure.
Cancel, and we're gonna add 5 minutes because I want you to tell more of that story. So all right, I added some extra time in here, and then we'll share. So right now I actually hit 7 for some reason, so we have 7 extra minutes that we're gonna.
Lucky 7.
So we're only doing 2 drawings anyway. So I think it's okay to do a little bit more time. So keep on talking about this. I mean, because Ponshu was born out of this really potentially traumatic experience, and you turned it into this mega successful IP. Here. So
I feel very fortunate for the fact that so many people came out and they looked at it and they gave him a chance. And I'm also incredibly grateful to my publishers who, mind you, I signed with them in December to do comics, like exclusively comics. We talked about webtoons, but it wasn't something that, we didn't have like in place yet. I was working on an IP at the time, which actually ended up just getting canned completely. Just kind of funny. But anywho, so I went to them after I saw the response Ponshu got on TikTok originally, because one of the animations I did of Ponshu, it went viral, getting like 300,000 views, and it was insane. I'm not even kidding. It was the craziest thing. It was a really simple animation I did to test my squash and stretch. I was trying to do that, and someone had made a comment on one of my posts saying something like, "I would die for this clown." So I made a response to that. Ponshu, have you seen the movie Inside Out?
Yes, one of my. Yes. If they had shown that when I was in college, I probably would have understood psychology much better in terms of.
It was such a good movie.
It was. Really but anyway,
is. So you know the scene with the core memories, right?
Yes.
So I drew an animation as a response to that comment on TikTok, which TikTok's platform really allows you to engage with your audience, which is why I think there's been so much great success on there. But anywho, so I did an animation response to that comment of a core memory rolling down a tube type thing, and Ponshu picking it up and flipping it over, and it says "you" in big words, and he gives it a hug. And that's it. That's the whole animation, and that got like 300,000 views. Yeah, craziness, and that's where it blew up. So I went to my publishers and I said, "Hey guys,
I got lightning in a bottle."
I was scared because my publishers, they're in the comic industry. They're really smart. They're businessmen. They are very smart. And I was like, hey, so what about a clown? And they were
But you
like,
know what?
Raven, are you serious?
But they trusted you. They obviously
They
trusted
did.
you. So
And that was,
must have been the ultimate pitch. You must have that must have been
when
a
I tell you
crazy.
I was sweating, I'd been practicing that pitch like the whole week. I was like, Ponshu is a good investment because he's a clown and he's not scary. Like,
It's like it was like Shark Tank. You're on Shark Tank trying to talk
was
about this
like
little clown.
yeah, I was like, I know we already have all these other projects planned, but what about a clown? And they were like, Raven, okay, we'll give it a try. We'll give it a go. We'll let you do it. And I was like, thank you so much.
That in itself is so encouraging because every story that you're sharing, I hope our audience just really soaks it in because you said you're a big scaredy cat. I'm gonna fight you for that. Yes, that is totally not true. Because I think that if anything, you may say that you're scared, but you don't let that hold you back. You face your fears. You see the good and the potential in things, and you execute. I think a lot of people like maybe sit on the sidelines. Maybe they have the greatest ideas in the world, but they don't act upon it. And I think that even though there was a possibility of rejection by your publishers, you said, well, what do I have to lose? I mean, I came up with this when I was going through a really rough time in my life, and it was very comforting. And maybe that's something that can be brought to other people. And I think that, what is it, 28,000 people agree. So.
Oh, it's so overwhelmingly amazing how it's happened. Like, from January, we went from nothing to an art book, a full 46 or 48 page art book, to a plushie, to a webtoon that's ongoing. Every other Tuesday we get a new episode. It's been such a wild, crazy development, but I think it just goes to show, like, once you find your joy, pursue it with all your heart,
Right.
I think that's what it boils down to.
Those are such great words, because I think that when you, especially in this time, I think that there's been a lot of creatives who have found that voice, because when we get all, we've been shut down, locked down, we've been in isolation. I think it was a perfect opportunity for listening to that inner voice, that voice that brings you joy, and you were able to just totally harness that, and we see that with Ponshu. We have about another minute and a half, so I'm just going to darken my lines really quickly we can show that, and I'm going to let our audience know. I want our audience, if you want to draw along with us, please do. And if you can't make it and you're watching this on demand later on, definitely share it to our sister page, The Art Show, and I'm going to let Raven know where that link is so she can see that, because
I want to see.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think that we want people to really. We want to repair the damage that has been done to clowns all over the world. And
Yes, exactly.
Is the ambassador. He's the ambassador to bring joy back to clowns. But let's talk a little bit in our last minute here. As I was drawing it, I just want to make this little observation. I was drawing it, and I drew it from a worm's eye view. So I just noticed that his eyes, they're kind of like exclamation points. If you draw it, because I'm drawing it from a lower perspective, and I just I don't know if that was intentional or if that's just a typical clown look. I've been avoiding looking at clowns, but and maybe like Spanish. In Spanish, they do the upside down, exclamation points. I just thought, is that just me like overanalyzing it, or did you?
No, that's really clever. No,
Is that something that you did, like, intentionally, or is it just?
I don't think it was an intentional thing. No, I can't claim to be that clever, but whatever your interpretation is, it's not wrong.
Okay.
However you interpret him is always correct.
Okay, well, we'll leave it on that because our time just expired, and I'm gonna think Ponshu is my exclamation point. He's making an impact on the world. He's out there, and he like I said, he's ought to repair all the negativity that's associated with clowns. So what I'm gonna do is, as I was talking, I always happens to me. I never get a chance to see what our audience, our guest is drawing because I'm obviously talking and drawing at the same time. So I'm gonna solo out your cam, and so I can see it up close. So here we go. And yes, can you like hide the palettes maybe, and we can see
Oh yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah. So sorry.
yeah
Let
yes
me hide my goodies
yeah there it
here.
is.
Boom.
Okay, this is what we just did in just a little bit over 20 minutes here, and we heard the story about Max, and I like this. I mean, this is obviously very raw right now, but you can see the energy in it, and I can just see where this is going to go. But again, it's just like it's so happy. I mean, you can't help even like this is another interesting thing that I noticed about Raven about her art style. Um, Even your canvas that you have here, like most people will use like a white background or maybe a neutral
Oh, I
gray.
can't.
You're not even doing that. It's kind of like a mauve. I don't even know what is that like because I think color. My monitor might be a little bit. It's not color calibrated, but whatever it is, this even just shows Raven's personality from an art style. She's not even using the neutral gray or a stark white. She's using this very subtle like mauve pinkish color, and it just shows in her artwork too. So love it. I think this is awesome. Ponshu is just something that you should all, and what we're talking about is Ponshu. I know your Kickstarter is done, and I'm assuming with all the plushes, is there something where people can get the art book? Obviously without all the Kickstarter bonuses and stuff like that. Can people still get the art book, or is that something that you're gonna have to reprint later
Eventually,
on?
yeah,
Okay.
eventually. We're gonna wait till all the orders have shipped off to
Yes.
backers, so it might
Yes.
be around Christmas time.
Just
Which
in time.
yeah, you mentioned the stocking stuffers.
Yeah.
That'd be so cute.
Right. I think that's great because we're going to be hyping this up, and when you're ready to open the doors, obviously, I would love. I mean, I'm glad that you're being respectful to the people that backed you because you're giving them the opportunity to get first dibs
Oh
on this,
yeah,
and I think that. Yeah, they backed you, and I think that
Mhm.
like whenever you do that special Christmas edition of Ponshu, that it will have like maybe a different cover or maybe something that's unique to that one, because I think there'll be people double dipping. They'll like, oh, you know what? I got the Kickstarter one, but I'm going to want to get the Christmas edition as well because
Yeah.
it's different.
Mhm.
But I think it's great, and I think if it's when it's ready to go, you come back to Comics Cast, you let us know.
Absolutely.
We will promote it. We will definitely promote it.
Absolutely.
All right, so love what you did, and if you can, maybe you can polish it up if you like it. Feel like it has like another, if it has legs on it, and I would love for you to maybe get it to us later on, and we'll
Oh
be more than
yeah.
happy to show the finished artwork and re-promote on demand your appearance here on Comics Cast. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking at the chat field, and it doesn't look like anybody. I don't think anybody drew along with us, which is sad. But you know what? They can come
It's
and do it
okay.
on demand later on. And I'm
Mhm.
going to check our sister page, the Art Show, make
Mhm.
sure that maybe somebody snuck one in and just didn't tell us in the comment field. And
It's all good.
I just saw something that that my partner at Comics Cast, Vic Medina, posted for me, which all this goodwill that all this positive vibes that you've given to me, to try and like heal the trauma that I've been feeling.
Did he send you a scary clown? Fail.
Let me show it before I show my artwork, because I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna show it, and I guess it'll be a nice comic relief right here. Get what I said? It'll we'll show this, and then we'll show my interpretation here. But it definitely made me chuckle. So I think you've already you're doing your bit to heal me, because normally, if I would have looked at this, I probably would have said, "Raven, I'm sorry, I'm having an episode.
Oh, no.
We're gonna have to do your show another time because I saw this."
Oh no.
No!
Oh,
So,
oh.
yeah, and you know what? So now I can look at this and not cringe in fear, because I'm taking lessons from you, Raven.
There we go. This
I'm
clown's
gonna
not real. He's not even
yes,
real.
I'm
Doesn't know.
gonna face my fears. I'm
There we
gonna
Proud
draw
of
more.
you.
Right, I'm gonna draw more Ponshu. So let me share what I drew real quick, and then we'll move
Yes,
to our
let's see.
next drawing challenge. So here we go. And
So excited.
here we go, and Drum roll, please. Here we go.
Oh my gosh! Are you
Uh,
kidding me?
so he kind of has like I have to say that I remember I looked at him, and when I was thinking about drawing him, I was like going. He made me for some reason think of like those cute. I don't know if you watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, but they had the cute mini State Puff Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
And I was like, for some reason, I kind of like was thinking about that too. But he's in the art that we showed, we always show him as being like this tiny, diminutive figure across against this really great, landscapes that you produced. I like to do the worm's eye view, and so to me, I wanted to capture that larger than life, even though he's tiny. But I wanted to make it look like, and he looks like he's running towards you happily. He's not like he doesn't look like he's gonna stomp on you or anything like that. And I think from this perspective, it also emphasized the exclamation points that I see in his eyes because it's a lower perspective. But yeah, I tell you, Raven,
Fantastic.
you've definitely made me feel better about clowns. So that's the inspiration that you brought to this unknown artist here. So very, very cool.
Oh, bless, man. This is
Uh,
amazing.
all right, so thank you
Love
so
it.
much. So I'm gonna remove this from the screen, and we have yours right here again. Okay, so we're gonna move to our next live drawing challenge, and
Our next one. Let's go.
let me share. Stop sharing that. I'm gonna share another screen so we can get our next visual reference to go along with this. Okay, so earlier in your origin story, we talked about your other IP, and that was your very first IP. This is the one
Yes.
I'm going to say this is how you got your foot in the door with your current publisher, or actually you had a different publisher, but now you're with. We won't name who that other publisher is, but your current publisher who's had your back in what you're doing, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, I have it listed as TC Rockets. Is that correct?
Yeah, Rockets Publishing is their
Oh,
publishing side.
oh,
But yeah, TC
yes.
Rockets is like their comic shop. Yeah. You got
Okay.
it.
So Rockets Publishing, I guess. So,
Yep, you got
so
it.
I think this will be a great opportunity for you to maybe talk a little bit. We can skip over the other publisher. We can just say that there was another publisher that was there, but now you have the solid relationship, this backing with this great publishing company,
Yeah.
and they've made they made Ponshu happen. Obviously Machi the Lazy Witch is part of it, and then we also have Cookies and Scream, which was also done through them as well. So I think this would be a great opportunity. So we're going to draw Machi the Lazy Witch, and we have 3 witches here. So if you're in our audience, I want you to do screen capture of this. Machi is the one on the right, the one in the middle right, which I think Raven said affectionately she's the ginger. She has the freckles, which
Yeah.
I even on her hands, I just noticed that. Really, just these little attention to detail things that are just amazing. This is what makes these kind of characters come to life, is when you see these little details, and those freckles, I adore them. So do a screen capture of this. Machi is the one in the middle right, and then she has her. I take it these are her friends.
Yep.
What is the witch at the top?
That's Cass. She's a new
Cass.
character being introduced in issue 3.
Okay, all right. And the lower one is
Aspen, and Aspen is introduced in issue 2, and she's like the super rambunctious Buttercup style character.
Okay, all right. Well, you're gonna have an opportunity to talk a little bit more about because we're on issue number 3. So no spoilers. I want to hear them. You can spoil me after the show, but I don't want to. I want people to be intrigued and want to buy issues 1 through 3.
Absolutely.
And do that. But just give us the cliffhangers and I am totally enamored with this particular project just because it's like you mentioned how you're a writer, so you write what you know. So you took your own experience and what you were going through at school and some of the doubt you felt, and you totally wrapped that up and made it into this character. So I caught what you were trying to do with that, and I think that's brilliant. And while we're drawing, I just love for you to maybe talk about, you can definitely retread that, but I think maybe we can talk about some of the aesthetics, like her look, and just all the little details that came with. And I'm just curious too, this character that's in the lower right, I'm trying to figure out what that is. It kind of reminds me of maybe he's like is he like a magical version of Max. I don't know. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to.
no, he's yeah. I'll explain
Okay,
that little dude. Yeah.
great. Okay, all right. So
For sure.
so to our audience, please screen capture. That was my my little bit of deductive reasoning when I was trying to figure out who that other character is. So we're going to
Yeah.
be drawing Machi the Lazy Witch. Let me get my timer ready for 15 minutes,
Let's get it.
and I'm going to start it right now. So we're gonna learn a little bit about Machi and her compatriots, and
Let's get
yeah,
it.
let's get into it. So put the mic back in your hand. Let me get your art screen back up, and let's learn a little bit more about Machi.
All right. So Machi the Lazy Witch. So the first two issues came out years ago, right? And I'd been wanting to work on the series more and more. I'd actually had the third and fourth issue like written out by the time the second issue finished. So I was ready to start production, but unfortunately we had a halt in production for a little while there, so I wasn't able to continue on with the series. But now with my new publishers, we're able to not only move on with the series but continue on bigger and better than before. So we'll be re-releasing issues 1 and 2 so everyone can catch up, as well as issue 3. And issue 3 is where things start to get really exciting. So Machi attends a prestigious art institute for witches, right? Yeah,
I
yeah,
like it. I like it.
yeah. And she's not particularly good at too many things, but she is a good friend, right? That's what she's got going for it. She tries her best, but she's not particularly talented like her friends are. Her friend Aspen, the one with the blonde hair, is incredibly powerful. She comes from a line of really powerful sisters, and the sisters are actually very famous in the school. One of them so famous, in fact, that she's actually one of the top 7 students of the school. So the school has like a reputation, and if you become one of the top students, you're almost guaranteed a job when you leave, right? And that's what everyone's afraid of, is not having a secured job once they finish college. So by becoming one of the top students, it's a guarantee. You're absolutely going to be not only in a job, but in a really well-paying job.
Man,
so,
this is too real. Like when you
right?
talk about, I'm like, yeah, this is like me too. Like, keep on going.
No, it's exactly why. So I try to add a little bit more fantasy into it, but still keep it pretty realistic to those who are trying to go to an art college, because we talked about it before. You know, I'm mostly self-taught, and the one thing that I did pick up in college is that if you're willing to work hard and learn on your own, you have a higher chance of success than people who attend the art college with no with no prior background and with no will to learn on their own. People who attend colleges and they expect the colleges to teach them everything, they don't tend to do too well, from what I saw in my time there and in my own personal experience. So with Machi, she's not particularly talented, but she develops this drive and this passion to continue growing and to do better, not so much because she thinks she's capable of being great, but because she wants to stay in the college and support her friends. So if she gets kicked out, she obviously can't stay with her friends. So she finds her own motivation through more realistic ways for her, through by her own means, right? So in issue 3, we actually get to see like these really powerful witch students getting introduced in the opening ceremony of the school. So you get to see the top 7 students, the Sacred 7, as they're called. Yeah,
sounds like Mean Girls all over again, right?
It really is very Mean Girls. Yeah. So Machi is like a slice of life fantasy. With some pretty heavy themes in it, but the themes are addressed in a way that I guess shouldn't feel too daunting in the way that I wrote it. I wrote it very carefully. I want it to be a fun read, not one that stresses you out, but one that you can also turn to and be like, hey, Machi overcame this, so I can overcome it, surely, you know? That's what I hope with this series, is that people can find it inspiring and a fun read, you know, just comforting.
Right. And I think that's so, they say that, you know, if you're going to write what you know. And I just like how you kind of like paralleled this. So I'm hoping that there's no Mean Girl clique that
No,
at
no,
the Art Institute in California.
no.
But you just
I
need, yeah, you just need to have like some antagonist to help move the story forward, right? So
Yeah, and growing up watching, anime and reading manga and whatnot, the shonen trope of having, a big rival in a school setting was always something I found really interesting.
hmm
So whereas Machi is not a self-insert, it's definitely an insert of interests.
yes,
Um, so I hope that people who enjoy anime, they enjoy like the plots of anime, and the wackiness of magic. I hope that this will be a good union of those ideas.
yeah, I think so. I mean, heck, you're on issue number 3, so apparently there's lots of stories to tell, and let's talk about because I'm looking at the witch garb here, and
Mhm.
unfortunately I can only see a little bit of the bottom. I mean, the witch robe, and I think you've actually added something unique to this because this is the anime manga influence. It has a kind of a kimono
Yeah,
or influence or a geek. I don't know exactly. I'm not sure exactly, but it has more of an Eastern kind of an Eastern vibe to it. But it's take on it's not the Harry Potter style of a witch
yeah,
robe. So
exactly.
do you want to talk a little bit about that, like your
Of
choice to do that?
course, yeah. When it came to designing the costumes of Machi, I really wanted to take influence from Japan, and the Japanese geisha scene because in Japan the geishas were artists, right? They were
Mm-hmm.
artists and performers, and they had to wear many hats and be incredibly dedicated to their craft. And I thought, well, who else is incredibly dedicated to the craft? Witches.
The
Um,
craft. I caught what you said there.
you got it.
Nice play on words.
You got it. Yeah, so exactly that. Um, so I wanted to create a simplistic but kind of recognizable kimono design that changed with the year class of the characters. So in Machi, different characters, depending on their year, will have a different styling to their kimono. So with
Ooh.
Machi, in her first year, she wears the solid black with the yellow obi wrapping around her waist. And then the long bell sleeves and a white under kimono. But the older students who have been there for longer, they get decorative floral patterns that like cascade over the kimonos, and they're incredibly elaborate. And it took a while to figure out how to make that possible without dying from overworking on those
Mhm.
designs. But
I know kimono designs can get very elaborate.
oh, they can, and and
Yeah.
and rightfully so. They're absolutely stunning. So I wanted to include the beauty of the kimono designs, and still keep it kind of witchy. So the characters, they wear like the pointed shoes and they wear the witch hats, but the belting on the hat changes depending on what color kimono year they are. So you get to see a whole bunch of different costumes. In the comic, there are only 4 years in this college. Um, so you get to see 4 different kimonos, and Machi will be transitioning through all of them. If she doesn't fail, ooh, what if she fails?
Oh,
Um,
you gotta buy the issue to find out, right?
you'll have to find out. It could be
uh,
part of the plot. Who
uh-huh,
knows?
uh-huh.
But yeah, so designing the kimonos as like witch attire was a really big thing. I also wanted to go about it in a really respectful way because I didn't want to come across like, oh, I'm just gonna borrow this entire culture's idea. Like I really did my research, um, as far as like, okay, if you're this ranking as a geisha, this is what you're allowed to wear. And I tried to translate that over to the year group in which the students are in. So I try to go about it in the most respectful way possible and still keep it recognizable. And hopefully I did that. I haven't had any complaints yet, so that's
I
good.
think you did. I think you
Thank
did.
you. Thank you.
But I think that's kind of neat too because you are approaching it from some cultural sensitivity, but it's also like educating.
Yeah.
You want to bring that culture and I had no idea about geishas and how there's a hierarchy, I guess, that's established by like
Oh, it's incredibly elaborate. It really
So
is.
you want to talk a little? I mean, this part of your research that you just stumbled
Yeah.
upon,
I'm a
and
little
it
rusty on it at the moment, but I'll give you what I can remember off the top of my head.
sure.
Yeah. So
Let's talk about
so
it.
when you're a geisha, you're trained at a house. Typically, you're given to a house of women who They basically watch over and train you, and they train you in a bunch of different things. So you learn how to dance, you learn how to do tea ceremonies, you learn how to play many different instruments, how to sing, how to entertain, and that's like the big majority of your training is how to entertain. But another thing is how to keep your appearance. So in Japan, back before World War II, when geishas were kind of at their peak, geishas, they would style their hair using like hot wax. So like it was almost every week, every other week, something like that. They would go and they would have their natural hair styled with hot wax, and they would have to sleep on these neck pillows that looked like just squares, just a square inch behind your head to keep your head off the ground, because your head couldn't touch the ground or it would ruin your hair. And
Wow, that
it,
sounds
it was
very
scary.
inconvenient. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
incredibly inconvenient, uncomfy, not how you want to be sleeping.
Uh-huh.
But that was another part of their training. So a lot of respect for that. Like it was a huge deal, and you weren't even allowed to have your hair styled until you reached like a certain ranking. You weren't allowed to go out on evenings, like entertain guests on your own, without certain permissions. You couldn't even go to certain tea houses without permissions from the tea house owner. It was a whole community, and oh gosh, it's so rich in detail. I'm trying to like summarize all the cool stuff, but there's so much cool stuff, it's unreal. Oh, the kimonos. You were very seldom allowed to wear a very elaborate kimono. Only the higher ups for very special occasions, for very special clients. If you had a kimono, it was typically a gift to the house in which you were a geisha. It wasn't yours personally. To have your own kimonos was a very big deal. And the training it takes to even be allowed to become a geisha can take like 1 to 2 years. They call you a maiko. You become a maiko, and you're not even allowed to so much as style your hair or wear the fancy kimonos. You're literally just like a house servant, learning all of these talents and skills. And it's very rigorous training. It's incredibly gutting, and most of the time, unfortunately, it wasn't something that women opted to do by choice. It was something that they were sold into. So you didn't have much of a choice. You had to pay back all of these debts by being a geisha. So you would
Wow.
learn these arts just to survive. And I think the survival of it just it adds almost like a romantic despair to it. You know what I mean? So,
I just had a Eastern history lesson
yeah.
encapsulated in just like a short amount of time. I had no idea. I had no idea that, and I think that's the kind of thing is that you're actually even talking about how this could parallel to, it's this. It was a school too, and of
Yeah.
course you're doing a school with Machi.
Hmm.
So I think that's brilliant. I think that to
Thank
find
you.
some parallel that you're and just what you've described, I can see that's like another level of stress. That's I mean, it's not you're talking about like dealing with some of the mental challenges
Yeah.
and then you're talking about like this whole other level about having to deal with you know performance and education and things like that. So
Yeah.
just a really neat parallel. So like also so let's talk a little bit about the aesthetics too. Her being a redhead and
Yeah.
like what was there like a special meaning? Do you have a
Yeah,
really good
actually,
friend
yeah.
there? So you
I'm
want to
really
talk a
glad
little
you
bit?
asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Machi was actually based off of my little brother.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My little brother, he's a natural ginger,
Uh-huh.
and he's coated in freckles, and he has such a wonderful disposition in life, and he
Uh-huh.
tries his best in things. And I wanted to create a character that could as closely replicate my little brother as possible. This isn't the one who's an animator. This is a different little brother. I have two.
This is
Um,
this is the flatter. You told me that because this isn't a
yes, yeah. This is the
I
platter. You got
see.
it.
I'm gonna say that in the Monroe world, art is a family affair. So,
It
um,
truly
I
is.
do. So like this is the brother that flats all the wonderful
Mhm.
artwork that we've been seeing here. So go ahead and talk a little bit about your brother and the inspiration behind
Yeah,
it.
so my brother, he's a treasure, right? When we were growing up, we were pretty much on our own. So I was kind of left to, for lack of better words, like raise my brothers. I was the one keeping an eye on them, making sure they didn't fight, making sure they were eating snacks and getting exercise. So, we were incredibly close. So with that, and moving away, when I joined the Marine Corps, I didn't have my family anymore, and we were so incredibly close. It was a really gutting moment, and I would have given anything to see my brothers again. So by the time I made it to California after the Marine Corps and I started college, you get that homesickness, and when you get homesick, sometimes it just doesn't go away, So I missed
Yeah.
my brother more than the moon, and I was like, I miss him so much. I wish I could just encapsulate everything that's wonderful about him. And it was Inktober of 2016 or something. There was a
Oh yes.
prompt, yeah. The old
Inktober.
Inktober, yeah, right.
And
There was a prompt, and I think the theme was like pumpkin. Oh, was that the timer?
oh, it was, but you know what? You're in the middle of the story, and let's just keep on going. I'm going to add another 5 minutes or 7 minutes to it again. So keep on telling that
A
story.
most gracious host. You are very
Yes,
appreciative.
because I
Thank
am not anywhere near done. But keep on going.
you.
This is solely
Yeah.
for you, not me. Yeah,
Oh,
keep on
I
going.
appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. So
Uh,
yeah, so when Inktober came around, one of the prompts was pumpkin. So I was drawing a whole bunch of characters that were like cute, creepy. That was my aesthetic for a while. I loved cute, creepy things, and then I eventually phased out of that. But I was drawing like cute, creepy stuff back then. So I drew this character that had like pumpkin hair instead of like a bun. And I really, really liked how it came out. And I ended up just making a character design out of that, trying out a few different sketches until eventually I created Machi. And underneath her witch hat is this great big pumpkin bun. And I was like, I really like Machi. And as I was writing Machi, I almost want to say it was without meaning to. But as I was writing Machi, I kept finding myself leaning more and more and more towards my brother's personality, the really super caring, trying his best, just over the top kindness. And I was like, man, like I just made Machi my brother.
So did he feel like? I mean, initially it's like you made me into a female witch. Did he
Yeah,
feel a
no,
little?
so that's the funny thing with my family. It's like we're not ones that worry about gender or things like that. Identity is such a personal thing. So when it came to be like, hey man, I based a character off of you, it's a girl. He was like, oh, that's awesome.
Well, I think it's the character. It's like it transcends gender, right?
Exactly that.
I think
Yes.
that it's like what challenges this character is going through, and then the inspiration behind it. Yeah, I totally get it. I think that because it's not like a one-to-one representation. I think
Yeah,
your
no, not
your,
at
your
all.
your brother's name isn't Machi, right?
No, that'd be so crazy.
So I think that it's great because I think when you come up with the characters, it's like with anything, it's the thought that counts. It's the foundation for that character, where it's rooted in, and I think your brother can appreciate that. And speaking of which, like speaking of which, you see the little play. We're just coming up with all sorts of crazy. Yeah. So Machi, like, what is there a meaning behind the
It's actually really funny. So you remember how earlier I was like, that looks like a Ponshu. That was this. This looks like a Machi. I don't have an explanation.
You know what? I'd like to see the world like how you see it, because you probably have like pet names for everything, and and you're like going, you know what? That looks like a Machi. That looks like a Ponshu, and you're probably coming up with names for little pet names for everything, and it actually makes me wonder. It's like with Max. Max actually sounds like I don't know if your husband named Max, or if you named.
My ex-husband actually named him, which is the funniest thing.
So because I was going to say that doesn't sound like
it's not a name I would ever picked for him.
Yeah, not the name that you would pick, but he's still loved no matter what. He can be named whatever, but he would still be loved.
Exactly, so. You got it. Yeah, I didn't get the chance to name him. If I did, it probably would have been something weird.
I'm not going to say weird. I'm going to say it would have been much more. It would have more. Not to say that Max doesn't have personality, but it would be a little bit more. There'd be a little bit more of a story to go.
I hear you. I agree with you wholeheartedly too. I'm right there with you, man.
But I think that's just really neat because with the name Machi, it's very unique, and I think of to parallel to like the Eastern themes here. I think of mochi. Like that, and I don't know if that's what I was going to say. Is like, was it named after a nice dessert, or something like that,
The parallel, it's totally possible. Subconsciously, that might be what my brain pulled out of. I can't disregard that at all. It's entirely possible.
So are you a fan of mochi? Do you like mochi?
Obsessed. Obsessed.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely obsessed.
So
I spent some time in Japan, and
you did?
I spent a couple years in Japan when I was in the Marine Corps, and it was life-changing. It really opened my eyes to like how amazing the world is, just in general. Like, we live in such a cool planet. Like, are you kidding me? How lucky are we?
Yeah, that is, and I agree with you. I think that aside from the inspiration and from different cultures that you're meeting and experiencing, I really think that even in America, I think that people need to just experience the world to understand, not that other places are any less than America, but I think it'll let them appreciate what we have here in America.
Oh,
You can appreciate Japan, obviously, but if you live, I think that's one of those things that I think it's so often that people can just complain about certain things, but you know what? How about just appreciate even the blessings that we have as well?
Exactly that.
And then, of course, for you were able to draw so much inspiration from your travels, and I assume that's when you were in the Marine Corps. Were you stationed in Japan?
I was stationed in Iwakuni, right below Hiroshima.
Oh, and that in itself, just the importance of Hiroshima too. I think that just gives you a lot of perspective in terms of the historical significance of that particular location. I think that's brilliant, and I like I said, just like you drew inspiration, and you have a better understanding of the culture and how you're able to like weave that into your storytelling. So I think that's a really, really neat thing that you've done.
Bless, man, bless.
All right, so we're looking on 1 more minute, and I'm so excited. I want to like look and see what you've done. I have not done like I'm gonna have to say like a really cute manga anime style personally. So for me, it's a nice treat to actually stretch my legs and do something that's a little different than what I normally would have done.
I love that.
just like clowns, I haven't done witches either. So this is a new thing for me.
The audience is getting a view of some firsts today.
Yes. Well, you're allowing me to face my fears and try different genres of subjects that I've never done before. So this is a great thing.
It's an honor to draw with you, man.
All right, so we are approaching our last 9 seconds, and I'm just trying to like put in some quick shadows to try and make it a little bit more visible. All right, so the clock is officially over. So let me stop that. Oh my gosh! I'm looking at yours and I'm like, you put colors in there, and I am like, this is like finished artwork already. This is amazing. This is what I love about Let It Out, and when we have guests here, because every guest that I have on the show just constantly amazes me, and you're keeping up in that tradition. Can we zoom in? I'd like to see it.
Yeah, let me hide my palette. You can't know what colors I use. It's a secret.
Okay. you have to buy that compact that has your color sequence.
Yeah, can you imagine?
And I'm giving you some. You can do several different compacts with several different color themes in here.
I really did that.
I'm not going to like. I won't charge you for that idea. Definitely do that. I think it would be really, really cool. I would buy them for my nieces, and it would just
I love that.
It'd be a great stocking stuffer. So here we go. We have. It's the cuteness level is off the hook. It's like 100, 110, on 100 scale. And I tried to do a wink like you, and you can see my wink doesn't look as good as your wink. But we have. She has this the character that we were talking about here. You want to explain a little bit about the
I totally glossed over that.
Go ahead and talk about it. I want to hear
in the Art Institute, because it is a school for witches performing magic on the arts. There are these little jelly spirits that you get. They're like a tool, right? So you would get jelly spirits to animate objects. You can only successfully animate if you're strong enough, right? And Machi in issue 2, she runs away from a pretty bad situation, and she finds a jelly spirit that's an abnormal color. Like, the green ones aren't common. You don't see that. And it's just in the dumpster, just chilling. and she's talking to it, and she decides, you know what, I think we'll be friends. Let me take you home. And the second she does, her older sister is furious because they share a room together, her and her older sister, who's also attending the college. Her sister's in her third year. So she brings the jelly spirit home, and she's like, why do you have that? You're not supposed to have that. Oh my gosh, we're gonna get expelled. And Machi's like, well, I'm not taking them back. You're crazy. So
there's no return policy, right?
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, his name is Lucky, and that's what she names him. So Lucky is super strong, and Machi has no idea. The audience, as you're reading issue 3, you get to see Lucky perform all sorts of hijinks to secretly help Machi without her realizing. And it's a really fun ride. So that's this little green character. It's her little buddy Lucky.
I love it, and you did such a great job of not spoiling, anything, but giving some insight. But green, that's the green power level. So if you're going to find these little gel characters, make sure you find the green one. If you're a Pokemon enthusiast, look for the green ones because they're super powerful. Love it. Let me go and see. I just realized that we have our face cams off. I'm going to minimize this a little bit so we can see our faces.
Woohoo!
All right,
we're back.
We'll put that up here. Okay, let me check the art show and see if anybody drew along with us. And I'm at the comment field. Let's see. Oh, everybody must be busy because doesn't look like anybody got a chance to draw with us. But I think once they see this on demand, maybe we'll see some interpretations of Machi a little later on.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool because I'm totally inspired by it. Let me share my artwork real quick.
Let's see it.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a style that I am not as familiar with, but I definitely probably gonna have to do some more formal Machi and Ponshu fan art for you, where it's more in a finished state. But here we go. So go easy on me. Let's see what it looks like. Oops, I hit too fast. There we go.
Oh,
so
that's so dynamic.
There's a lot of things that need to be worked out. I think I might have to redraw this, but at least the pose is there. I don't even know. Do they ride around on broomsticks? I don't even know.
They have things available. Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna have to send me maybe some whatever the stylized. I don't know if it's a Japanese broom. I don't know what kind of broom, or if they have the Nimbus 2000 style, from Harry Potter. I don't know what kind of broomsticks are there, but I'm a big fan of K-pop too. So I have to do the wink with the
I love it.
symbol.
I love it.
So it was either that or the K-pop heart, and I couldn't. That was one of those things that maybe for the second one I'll have to revisit.
I love it. I love the composition. For this and for the Ponshu you did, the compositions are so nice.
I appreciate it, but it just goes to show you bring that out in me. You make me want to draw stuff like this, so I think it's brilliant, and I had such a great time interpreting your characters, and I think just like those 20 was it again that was 28,000 TikTok followers. I mean, it's going over 30, I'm sure. Apparently something that you're doing is resonating with so many people, and that's what makes it's beautiful. It's something that makes people, whether they want to read or look at the artwork, or in my case draw. That's something that I'm a believer. I support. It's I heart Ponshu, I heart Machi, I heart Raven. I think that's all. That's gonna have to be a new hashtag that we're gonna put with all your artwork. So that being said, okay, we've done our live drawings, and I'm gonna say to our audience, if you're out there and if you're still want to draw, let me know in the chat, in the comment field. We'll post it a little bit later on. But for now, we're gonna keep on moving the show forward. Because there's still more stories to tell. So this part of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about the future. And in our pre-show, obviously I can see Ponshu and Machi and Cookies and Scream totally going in these great directions where we might see them on Adult Swim or on Cartoon Network, or, I think that merchandising possibilities are just, through the roof. They have a certain aesthetic that is very appealing, and I think it could go that level. And I really think that if not the rest of this year, going into the next year, I would. There's going to be more than just plushies that are going to be in the shelves. I think it's going to be that next level. But you shared with me a little something that that is exclusive. I want to say exclusive to Comics Cast. We're revealing it here on Let It Out. So I'm going to put your screen. I'm going to share your screen back up there, and I'll let you call it up. And I am just so honored that you chose to share this with us because I love exclusives. So here we go. Look at this. All right, Mike is in your hands. Tell us about Binky. Yeah.
This is like the biggest and most exciting thing of this year. So of course we have Ponshu issue 3 coming out. Super exciting that the comic is done. It's ready. It's going to be launching next month. As well as next month, if not the end of this month, we're going to be getting a second clown webtoon. So we have My Pal Ponshu already. Yeah, which airs every other Tuesday. And on the Tuesdays Ponshu is not airing. We will now have Cap and Binky. And this is...
Oh, wait, you said Cap and Binky? What was that?
Captain Binky.
Oh, Captain. I thought there was going to be like it was you're revealing Binky and there's another character named Cap. So it's Captain.
That'd be so cute. If the hat was like alive, that'd be cute. I like that.
Okay, Captain Binky. Look at this logo.
We're going to have the misadventures of Captain Binky. This... It's different than the Ponshu webtoon. The characters will have speaking roles. We'll have a narrator. We're working with an amazing voice actor, the Brimstone, professional wrestler, professional voice actor. He does everything. He'll be narrating and doing some of the characters for the series. We're looking to do some animations for the series as well. That'll be on YouTube. It's going to be huge. It is going to be huge. We also have a really big TikToker, Lauren. We're gonna have her on or them on for the voice of Binky, and it's gonna be so great. They already did the voice of Ponshu on TikTok. If you guys have checked out my TikToks and you've heard the ones where Ponshu has like voice roles, you'll get to see more of Lauren's work in Captain Binky. And this is just like, it's pirates, it's clowns, it's tomfoolery and adventure.
Oh, okay. I mean, what kind of that's a recipe for success. I mean, you mix all those things in there. I mean, if Johnny Depp could do a cameo, as a pirate that's in the background, I think that would just put it over the top. But I think you got the formula right there. I mean, let's see that artwork again because that your logo look. I know it's still a work in progress. That logo looks great. As a graphic designer, I already see the potential in that, and it looks like you've got the branding thing down.
Thank you. I was really fortunate to work with Kathleen Williams on the logo. She does almost all of the logos for me. She did the Cookies and Scream logo. She's doing this logo as well. So she's my go-to whenever I'm like, I can't figure it out. Help me, Kathleen. And she's like, I've got you. Let me lend you my godly powers.
Oh, that is so great. It's nice to you hear the stories. It's sort of like, you surround yourself with other talented people because it just elevates your product, your artwork to that next level. Because when you have like-minded individuals, it can only make it that much more of make that much more of an impact and an impression on people, and it shows because the love and the passion that you put into it. Now, I know Binky's new, and it's Captain Binky. I don't know if that's a play on. Yeah, so I know that might be a play on Captain, and of course you mentioned he has a kind of a pirate and he's a clown too. So again, this is your campaign to make clowns palatable to people again here in terms of there is good. There is good in them.
There is good in them. There's good to be found.
Yes. Okay. So here we have some, I guess you have some more concept artwork.
Here, we have some more. This is Binky pre-Captain and this is Captain Binky. So our adventure starts off before he becomes Captain. So he's cool. He's just this little guy toddling around on a clown island.
Oh, geez. And you know what? You talked about some of the your animation background. I don't know if it's been built. Your 3D experience. It's like I'm looking at your characters, and on the surface, everybody's it's very simple, but it allows them to be more emotive. You don't have to. You don't have to overly render something. You just need to focus on their gestures and their the expressions and. I definitely could see this, whether it's traditional animation, cell shaded or even like 3D, it's still would translate. I remember, we were talking about Eastern influences. My little sister, was fond of Sanrio. I don't know if you know.
Oh yes, love Sanrio.
Yeah, and I look at these characters. This looks like it could be a character that could be right beside Bad Bats Maru and Hello Kitty. He could, your characters could exist in that universe. I think it's so brilliant that you've come up with this really great design.
Yes, yes, I appreciate that. I have a tiny animation of Binky.
Oh, you do? Okay,
I'm trying
great.
to find it.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna just so we don't have to reveal everything that's on your computer.
Oh
I'm gonna,
these are
yeah. Okay, no problem. I'm gonna let you find it. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna I'm gonna put that off the screen and have her there. So I'll let you find that. So while you're looking for it, I just want to put out a few things. We talked about the future. The future is Binky, and Binky is
Binky.
So while you're looking for that, I see your artwork going in so many different directions. Besides Binky, what are your other plans? Are you going to other cons throughout the summer? Does Rocket's Rocket Publishing, do they have you slated to appear at all these places? Is there another toy that's going to be coming out? Tell us a little bit more about what the future is for Raven.
Absolutely. I couldn't find the animation. Unfortunately, I looked.
We'll share it another time.
Another time is fine. Yeah. So the future is looking like we're having Captain Binky next month. I'll be going to a couple more conventions this year. They've not been named. I don't have the dates just yet, but I will be attending a couple of conventions. Maybe one in Tokyo. I'm not sure. It's still kind of yeah. I'm working. I'm working as a colorist for David Rome. He's one of the cover artists for Rick and Morty. I'll be traveling with him. He's super cool.
Congratulations.
Cool.
Talk about a great, your IP is phenomenal, but you're doing coloring for household name IPs too. So I'm gonna have to buy some Rick and Morty stuff to once I find out anything that you're. I'm a fan of the cartoon, but of the series. But I'm gonna have to look for you. Have to let me know which ones you specifically colored.
For sure, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I've only done one so far, and it's not been released yet.
It's the one of many. It's gonna
hopefully fingers crossed. So hopefully I'll be doing some shows later on this year with David Rome, and doing some shows for TT Rockets and Rockets Publishing. But for sure we have some big things happening. So we have Machi issue 3. My brother and I, the animator from New York, we're actually working on a series together, which is what I'll be sharing on Twitter the next 2 months. A new project called Get Giddy. It's an all-ages adventure comedy comic about grandpa and his grandson, and they're trying to uncover some lost media, and in doing so they discover a 2-dimensional cat. So it's mixed media, super crazy.
What?
Yeah.
I can't. These are all intriguing to me, so I'm so happy that getting to hear more and more. Is there anything else? I feel like there's.
Oh, I have promo art if you'd like to see. I have some.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, share.
Sure.
Okay, let me put this up here. Do you have it up right now? Let me.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
There it is.
Get Giddy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is debuting this year as well.
Yes, this will be debuting this year. It's going to be releasing in a couple of months. I'm working on the pages currently, so I'm going to be posting a whole bunch of stuff about this. We're working on a really big animation too, a minute-long animation of Giddy, a trailer, an animated cartoon trailer for this, for the Kickstarter. Super, super excited about. So my brother draws Giddy, the cat in the center, and Giddy is this mischievous, goofy, wacky cat from two-dimensional world. And then we have Detective Goose on the left, the grandpa, and then we have his grandson Ziggy, and they're trying to uncover what happened to the animators behind Giddy, and why is Giddy here? Why did the creator go missing? So it's a whole fun, goofy thing. Yeah.
Well, I think it's like this reverse Roger Rabbit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because you have the real guy going into the cartoon world. And then, of course, these are still cartoon characters, but, they're different. They're rendered differently. So, I look at the grandfather and his son kind of being, they're the real world, but the cat is now in the real world. And I'm eating it up. I think this is going to be just another intriguing story. Is there even more? Or is this
so far we have a whole character sheet of Giddy. I can show you really quick. Give me 1 second just to pull that up.
Yeah, definitely.
Here we go. My brother did a whole character reference sheet of just Giddy.
Oh, It is okay. Monroe family affair. Talent is in the gene pool. This is just incredible. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the animations because, like you said, your youngest brother, or at least I remember reading.
Yeah, yeah, he's my youngest brother. You got
yeah,
it. Yeah.
he's the youngest brother. Your youngest brother is the animator. Your
Mhm.
the middle brother, which is just one, just after you, he's your flatter.
Yep.
So yeah, you have a studio. You have your own studio, the
We
Monroe
have the
Studio.
Monroe studio in the house, ladies and gents. Like,
Yeah, and I have to say that even looking at this cat design, it kind of reminds me of the classic comic strip. Is it called Doonesbury? I think there was a cat in that too.
oh yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but it just reminds me of it. This is Raven. Has Raven written all over it. But I'm just looking at this character sheet, and with it, with you and your brother. You and your brothers, it's like Team
Yeah, we're
Supreme.
all three of us are in on this craziness together. This is our biggest project we've ever worked on. We're so excited.
Yeah, I'm so thankful that you shared this with us and we were able to share this with our audience. It's nice to premiere exclusives, and yeah, I have to say that this whole time you've been here, it's just been it's just been so positive. It's made and when over the last 2 years, this is what the industry, what people need. They need to be able to see something like this to let them know that there are bright spots on the internet. There are bright areas of creativity that are still showing their heads, popping up here and there, and it's great to see this. So this is the future that you can expect. We got Get Giddy, we got Captain Binky, we got more Machi that's coming. We got Ponshu, which is the viral clown that's just blowing up TikTok. So much, that we have to look forward to in terms of what Raven is going to be bringing to the table. You'll see her possibly in Tokyo if you're in there, if you're in the house and you're in Tokyo. And you said, will you be going to cons during the summer too?
I'm hoping to. I haven't been able to announce any yet. I don't have any set dates, but as soon as I know, I'll let you guys know.
Yes, it'll be on that link tree. So we're going to show that. But before I'm going to get that primed up to show that link tree link. And when I show it, I'm going to hand the mic back over to you because this is the part of the show where I'm going to get a little teary-eyed because it's getting close to the end. And we're gonna have you do your Oscar speech, and this is where you just share your final thoughts, any shout outs. It's really up to you. I just wanted to give you that opportunity. So the mic is in your hands, and I'm going to pop up your link tree and give us your Oscar speech.
Oh, let's go. Okay. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's channels like this and creators like you guys who make this possible for creators like me. When I first started with the indie comic community, I didn't know anyone who ran YouTube shows. I didn't know anyone who streamed, and it's really hard trying to get a dry start. So I was so grateful to be on a couple shows back when I first released Machi, and I'm so grateful to be here today with Comics Past. You guys have been amazing. This has been a great show. Had a lot of fun, and I got to thank my publishers, Rockets Publishing. I got to thank my dog Max and his little baby girl May.
Absolutely, yes.
And above all else, I just want to thank you guys for being here, for watching, for tuning in. If you're tuning in later on, thanks for checking it out. Thanks for keeping indie creators in mind. It's hard with all these titans around us to keep ourselves going, but having people like you guys makes it all possible. So thank you.
All right. Hold on 1 second. Oh, 1 second. I got it. Let me wipe the tears from my eyes.
Oh no! Don't cry.
No, they're tears of joy.
Okay.
You've been a phenomenal guest, and it makes my job so easy to to feature guests like you because your stories are wonderful and they're inspirational. And if not to our guests, definitely to me, I'm gonna face my fears. Clowns, they're my friends.
Yes,
at least Binky and Ponshu, I'm gonna have to say that if next time I see that poltergeist clown or the it clown, I'm going to think of Ponshu. Happy thoughts.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for giving me a chance.
that'll be it. But before we get to the last part, we talk about our charity party. I wanted because I mentioned at the beginning of the show, And this is one of the novel things in particular that I hinted about, but we needed to just talk about. I just thought of it because I looked at my notes here. Godiva. I want to hear about that because I love chocolate. I love desserts.
Yeah.
And when I read that about you, I thought that was one of the, aside from all the other things that make you stand out, I saw that and it just made me go, what? What is this exactly? So
it's
talk about it.
craziness.
Yeah, talk about that. Yeah.
For sure. So it actually started with Clip Paint Studio of all places. Clip Paint Studio made an announcement on their homepage. When you start the program, it's like, hey, here's all the cool stuff going on. So Clip Paint Studio was like, hey, apply to be an affiliate. And I said, okay, how do I do that? So I went and I applied through them, and the web portal that they send you to, you can apply to other companies as well, not just Clip Paint Studio. So I said, let me just apply to a couple and see if anyone's interested in little old me. And Godiva got back to me, and they were like, hey, here's a code. You give people this code, and they'll buy chocolate from us, you'll get points and money.
That is the wonders of the internet. And just like, you never know what kind of, let me rephrase that. It's like, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't sort of like it has to go beyond just wishing for an endorsement or some sort of brand ambassadorship or any of that stuff. You kind of just have to like put yourself out there. Of course, you got to be very sensible about where you're putting yourself out there. But I think that's an example. It's like I'm waiting. Christmas could come around, and I'm waiting for my Ponshu Binky Godiva chocolate.
Oh my gosh, that would be so cute.
Yeah, I could totally see that. So again, that's free marketing advice. I'm because I want you to do it because I'm going to have that, and it's going to have to buy 2 boxes because one box I will not open, and, and the other box I'm going to have to open and enjoy. I'm going to say I was going to say the fruits of your labor. I guess it's the chocolates of your labor.
Get yourself some chocolates. You deserve it.
Yeah, exactly. So look into that. So let me pull up how we usually end all the shows, and then that's with. So here we go. If you look here at the bottom, we like to end the show talking about Golden Fight. So let me add that to the screen. All right. So Golden Fight. What is Golden Fight? Golden Fight is a charity partner that we work with. We're not financially tied to them in any shape, way, or form. We just like to bring awareness to them. Now, they're an organization that I like to think is big enough and small enough at the same time. Now, what does that mean exactly? So, small enough in the sense that they are not this, big corporate charity that's, they have a very focused approach, which is in my neck of the woods, the Mid-Atlantic region. And what they do, this is where they are big and they're huge. They raise money for families who have children that are going through very difficult situations and illnesses like cancer. And the money they raise, I thought it was like 97%, with like that 2 or 3% that would have to go towards maybe administrative things, just really like little things. But no, I was wrong. It's 100% of the money they raise goes to helping these families, because when they're focusing on the healing of their child, inevitably financial difficulties will happen. And that's where Golden Fight comes in. So if you would like to check out Golden Fight, a great organization, and if you it's within your means, and if you're looking for a charity to help out, Golden Fight, I'd like you to consider that. So goldenfight.org. All right, so let me minimize this and get Raven back here on screen. And I'm going to show one more time. Now you can go here. Go to her link tree. Bookmark this because the show is about ready to end, and I'm going to be going into my room and crying because I've had to call the end of the show here. But I would like everybody to bookmark this. Follow Raven. Great storyteller, phenomenal artist, big heart. Like I said, she's bringing a ray of sunshine to the world with her IPs, and just gotta follow it. Follow her, like and subscribe to her things. Let's get her TikTok above 30K by the end of the day. She's at 28 right now. Let's get 30K. If not, we're gonna make sure that she gets to those numbers before she comes back on the show again, because you're welcome here to come back when you want to formally drop any of your new IPs or talk about any of your old ones and stuff. You are welcome. Like and subscribe. Follow her. There were 173 backers that believed in her. Successful Kickstarter campaign. I mean, she has too many accolades and things on her resume. I can't list them all. But you can follow her on Linktree and get all that information. So that being said, let me get everything primed up here. We love you. Back. We're it's good to be back on Comics Cast. Let it out. We're going to try and get some consistent shows throughout June and throughout the rest of the year. But if you like this show and you like Raven and you like more of this content, like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook. We want to bring these type of indie creators to the masses. We want their voices heard. We want their IPs to be seen. And you know what? I'm going to predict in a year, we're going to see some cartoons from Raven coming at you. So that being said, Comics Cast signing out. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Signing out. Bye-bye.